Joining me now is Middle East analyst Micah Halpern. He's here with me in studio. And Micah, what do you make of the summit announced by the Trump administration? I mean, is it an effort, you think, to buy the Palestinians off?
No, I think it's actually a part of the plan.
Really?
It was part of the plan from the beginning. We just haven't seen it. So this is the first part of the laying out of the plan. And obviously the Palestinians are very upset by it. And the Israelis will probably also not be so happy with the results, not just of the plan, but also of the potential summit. The reality is that the political side, and this is where Yossi Beilin is wrong, the political side has failed. The political answers have failed. Dealing with the refugees has failed. Dealing with the capital has failed. Dealing with the state has failed. So why not choose another method of approaching this, which is the economic side?
But is it another method? I mean, money has been tried before and offered before. It really hasn't worked, right? I mean, going that route hasn't really settled Middle East.
Well, actually, one of the biggest issues is the Palestinians have to become an independent economy.
Sure.
So up until now, they just receive money on the dole. And if they're receiving money as the dole, they can't possibly be independent anything. So the idea is to get investment in it. Now, honestly and truly, $68 billion is a lot of money.
Right.
But it's not money being given, it's money being invested, which means Palestinians are going to invest, which means others are going to invest, which means Americans are going to invest because the United States is also going to do it, and they're protected from potential losses because of it.
Right.
So the idea is that it could possibly, and this is Adam Smith's concept, rising tide raises all ships.
We should say the $68 million is the estimated billion is the estimated amount that would be raised by these other countries contributing to this fund,
including China, by the way.
Right, but money has been an issue as well in terms of the U.S. cutting aid to the Palestinians, in terms of the reports of the Palestinians kind of using money to kill and attack
no
Jews.
Question.
So how does that square when you talk about raising money to give to the Palestinians when you already have cut off their funding and there's reports that they were using money to kill?
No question. There's a carrot and the stick issue with money,
sure,
especially in terms of aid. But we're not talking about aid. We're talking about investment in the corporations and creating infrastructure, which is very different than handing over money. When Arafat first came at the very, very beginning of this peace process, he came with suitcases expecting to get American money.
Right.
He actually controlled the money himself. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about supervised monies, which will be involved in actual investment. Otherwise, it's a waste of time, and the Arab world will not give that money, neither would China or the United States, because that would ultimately be transmitted to terrorists, potentially.
Well, Micah, stay with me because
sure.
I want to talk and get more reaction on the Palestinian side to all of this, to the Trump administration's planned Middle East peace summit. Their reaction has been swift. The chief negotiator for the Palestine Liberation Organization is quoted as saying attempts at economic normalization of the Israeli occupation of Palestine will be rejected. i24 News Middle East correspondent Emily Rose has more.
As the Trump administration announces the unveiling of the first part of its Middle East peace deal, dubbed the Deal of the Century, in the form of an economic summit in Bahrain, the Palestinians signal resistance.
The cabinet stresses that it wasn't consulted about the reported workshop, neither about the content nor the outcome and/or the timing.
The Palestinian Authority says it wasn't informed of the economic summit and releases a statement saying that, quote, attempts at promoting an economic normalization of the Israeli occupation of Palestine will be rejected. And it seems PLO officials insist they won't cave to political pressure.
It clarifies that the financial crisis that the Palestinian National Authority is living through today is a result of the financial war that is being waged against us in order to win political concessions. We do not submit to blackmail, and we don't trade our political rights for money.
Palestinian Social Development Minister and cabinet member Ahmed Majdalani even told Reuters the PLO would not attend the summit, adding that any Palestinian who would take part would be considered a collaborator for the Americans and Israel. Palestinian officials have cut all ties with Washington since the U.S. recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital. Now all eyes will be on the summit to see if Trump's deal could be rejected upon arrival. Emily Rose, i24 News.
And so back with me is Middle East analyst Micah Halpern. And Micah, we should say all of this is with the backdrop of the plan's not even out yet, but we're getting reaction from the Palestinian side. The Palestinians don't appear to be inclined to cooperate with whatever plan that comes out from
any
the Trump
plan,
administration.
period.
Yeah.
That becomes a problem.
Right.
It becomes a problem for the plan and becomes a problem for the Palestinians. In order for it to succeed, they need to be a part of the situation. Now, and they're not. And so it's sort of this automatic no that we've seen from the Palestinians is deeply problematic. Now, I'm not saying that the Trump plan is perfect. I haven't read it. It's certainly filled with problems. However, you have to at least approach it. You have to deal with it. You have to engage in it. You have to say yes and move along with it.
But can you blame the Palestinians when they say that there have been a series of pro-Israel moves made by the Trump administration?
Well, there's no question. Now, one has to realize that
Yeah.
the Palestinians know it, and the Israelis know it, and the Americans know it. That is, America has a bias. They are pro-Israel. That does not mean that
Sure.
America is incapable of creating a fair and good deal.
Well,
and it's a big difference.
Sure.
There is a bias, and there's no question that the United States has a bias towards Israel. But a fair deal can come out nonetheless.
Well, we'll see. Micah Halpern, thanks a lot.
Always a pleasure.